Life isn't about finding yourself, but life is about creating yourself. This quote is from George Bernard Shaw, and this quote couldn't make more sense in the conversation we are having today about reframing yourself. Now, what do I mean by reframing yourself? I mean about taking that picture of yourself, that visualization of yourself, the way you see yourself, that's maybe essentially tied and tagged and labeled onto old things in your past that are just holding you back from allowing you to move forward in life. And so you won't do anything that you feel like you're going to fail at, because you don't want to be essentially maybe laughed at, made fun of, any of these other things, because you know you're already going to fail. So you set yourself up for failure. So how do you essentially reframe yourself into believing that you can? And then today we're talking about that. We're talking about how you can reframe the thoughts and ideas that you have of yourself, essentially melting those away and allowing yourself to be that confident, that charismatic person that you've always wanted to be. And I talk about this on my channel a lot as far as repetition, because I believe it's extremely important. A lot of the different things that we do, we do it for a short amount of period and we expect great results. And it's been proven over and over, you got to do that 10,000 hours to really master a skill. And reframing yourself and getting a new visualization of yourself is the same thing. It's like any other skill. You got to constantly be putting in the work to change those thoughts and ideas of yourself. And by reframing who you are, by getting a new vision of who you are, you can do this, and you can find out that you create this person of confidence, and you're driven, and you have more desire to want to go out there and challenge yourself to different things, and not afraid to lose, because it's just a temporary setback. That's all it is. It doesn't define who you are, because maybe in the past you were defining who you were by test scores, by a relationship, by maybe poor job performance because something else in your life was going on, right? Maybe it was one of those different things. It could be anything. But today we want to reframe that and realize every new day, even starting now, you can start doing this process and realize that you can become the person that you've always wanted to be, and not allow those old things in your past to hold you back anymore. So today we want to talk about that, about reframing yourself, and to realize that to get this started, you're going to have to kill off your old self, right? And doing this isn't always easy, because you may feel like, well, I am who I am. There's no way I can change who I am, but you can make yourself better. You can always improve yourself so much that after a long duration, you realize that you essentially can morph into the person that you want to be, the person that you've possibly looked up to. This is why I always think when you look to someone like a hero or anything like that, man, I want to be like that person, right? What would you look like as that person? Picture someone that you want to be, someone maybe that's really charismatic, maybe someone that's extremely motivated, someone that really inspires you, right? How would you look as that person? Visualize that person. And right now you're probably like, man, that person's like leaps and bounds away from who I am today. But I was the same way. All right, once long ago, I was the same way. There was a person I wanted to be, and I took many different routes and whatnots to get to where I needed to go, but I eventually got there. And I feel like I'm the most confident I've ever been in my life. I'm driven, I'm all these other different things, right? I'm in shape, I've done all these other things in my life that I've wanted to accomplish by essentially reframing who I thought I was, and not allowing people, test scores, and all these other different things, all these other different elements in my life to essentially dictate who I was, and trying to instill that I wasn't good enough. I couldn't, become a programmer. I couldn't do all these other different things, because that's what essentially, my environment was telling me. But to improve myself, I had to change the way I looked at myself. I had to change that negative thought, because I know there are so many out there, you'll beat yourself down over the smallest little thing, and yet we tend to forget that, we are our worst critic. We will hammer ourselves into the ground many times over. Even to this day, I still do that. I get upset. Although I do laugh now about it, but I'm always trying to improve myself. And as opposed to just beat myself down like I used to before, now I try to see what I did wrong. Because we have to realize that we all make mistakes. No one just goes 100% without making any mistakes. People correct themselves along the way and eventually get to a point to where those mistakes are so minimal that you've improved whatever it was. And so in reframing yourself, you have to realize that everybody makes mistakes. You need to get rid of that notation that you aren't smart enough, get rid of that notation that you can never be in shape, get rid of all these other different thoughts and ideas of who you were in the past. You can change all that stuff today, right now, by going through a process of just sitting every day thinking about that person, the person who you want to be, as in you, how would you look like that person, and making a little effort every single day, whether it's visualizing that person every day. What would you be? What would you look like? How would you dress, right? Would you be charismatic? Would you be happy? Would you be outgoing? Would you be courageous, right? Would you have all these other different things that you've always wanted, right? Do you have those things? What would you be doing? How would you feel, right? You'd probably feel indestructible at that point. You can make it that way. Visualize yourself and then take the efforts to improve yourself. Now, you may have a whole slew of different things that you want to improve in yourself. This is where you have to take the little steps and chew off just a little bit. Yes, you have a major goal of that person that you visualize every day. And then play through your head every single day. What did I do today that improved me to get to who I want to be? So you got to schedule this stuff out every single day on who you're going to be. What can I do today to improve myself? Ooh, I want to get healthy, so maybe I'll start eating healthy. Maybe I'll just work out, 20 minutes a day, that's all I have. Something is better than nothing, as long as you continue to do it every single day and work forward to that time, to reframing those thoughts and ideas in your head of that you can't do it anymore. And again, this is a progressive thing because you're going to start out, you're going to start something and you're going to not see results, and you fail to realize that it takes more than an overnight session to get to where you want to do. You got to reprogram a lot of the different thoughts and ideas in your mind. And this is why creating an ecosystem in which you have this constant feedback loop in your head about, hey, I am not this person anymore. I did good today. I tried. I failed here. This is where I can improve. And then tomorrow, when I do it again, hey, look I can do it. And then I'm a little bit better. And you realize that after a while, you start building up more confidence in doing that. And then you essentially master whatever it is that you're trying to do. Maybe it was just eating healthy, creating a better lifestyle so you were eating healthy. So now that's just part of your life now. Then you move on to the next thing. Right? Maybe it's picking up a new skill. It's all the same thing, but you're doing it for your mindset, reframing who you think you are. And when you start building onto this, it builds, more certainty around the fact that you are that person that you are essentially visualizing to be. This is why visualization is so big, because if you can visualize it, see how you look and feel, try to use every sense of how that person is, essentially being that person, and that's who you are today. You have to trick your mind. Right? Your brain is essentially encased in darkness. It doesn't know the difference between what you're feeding it through a visualization and feelings that you're trying to essentially create from your mind, as opposed to actually living it. Your mind doesn't know the difference. So why not trick it in a way that would be beneficial to you? And this is something that I've done to help reframe who I was and essentially drown out the rest of the noise. With everybody else, you go on social media, you're gonna see all the things, the way you should look, the way you should be acting, all the money you should be having, all these other different things, right? You can get all those things by slowly just revamping your mind, reframing the way you are, and slowly chipping away every day. And you realize that by doing this over a span of time, you realize that you will get there eventually. And this can be really hard and really frustrating at times, because there'll be a lot of times where you go and you see some results, you get more motivated, and then it seems like you get to a point where you kind of just like mellow out and you don't get any more results, but you're still making progress, you just aren't seeing it, and that becomes frustrating. And so maybe you're trying to eat healthy and you're like, you know what, forget this, and you just go order pizza and you eat a whole pizza, right? But you have to understand that you have to limit the damage on those days, and those days where you feel like you aren't quite hitting your stride, but you have to still put in the work, right? And there's not to say that there's nothing wrong with taking a day off. If something really comes up, you can take a day off. Majority of the time, that's what you want to aim for, is majority of the time you are executing on those little things and recreating yourself. And you realize that you will eventually get there. And the roadblock that you thought was never gonna happen, you're there. So remember, if you enjoyed this video, to hit the like button on the way out. And until next time, I will see you guys later.